Production, the shoot. The filming of your video falls under the category of the production phase. Because you've planned ahead of time, you should have a good idea of how long this step will take. And your responsibility as the producer/director is to keep things as near to that timeline as feasible. For this stage, you need to wear a couple of hats. You could be acting as producer, director, and talent. The director's position is essential for ensuring that your talent produces the right performance, that you get through all the shots you need, that they are properly framed and lighted, and that the screenplay and storyboard are followed. Lesson 1. Smartphone settings. There are a number of small things you can do to ensure that the video you record with your smartphone is worth viewing, whether the events are humorous, emotional, or simply surprising. So, here's a starting point to ensure you're recording the finest video possible with your smartphone. Clean the lens. It may seem silly and simple, but it is always a good place to start. It's the same as forgetting to remove the lens cover on a camera. It's something so clear that it's simple to overlook. Make sure the camera's vision isn't impeded and give it a quick wipe before shooting any video with your smartphone. Moistened cleaning wipes are ideal for this task, but a short breath and your shirt will suffice. Check and set your settings. Smartphones may have fewer features than more dedicated video cameras, but that doesn't mean they can just record one form of video. Most premium smartphones now provide a variety of resolutions and frame rates to select from. On Android phones, these options are often found within the primary camera app, either hidden behind the settings gear wheel or accessible via a toggle button. Apple, on the other hand, has buried these choices within the main settings menu. You must exit the camera app completely, go to Settings, scroll down to Photos and Camera, and then go down to the Camera section. 4K video. Many high-end smartphones can now shoot 4K video, often at a resolution of 3840 by 2160. To shoot in 4K, just pick this option whenever your phone allows you to modify resolution settings. When you film in 4K, you capture greater information, which means you can take advantage of the fact that most consumers watch videos in 1080 pixels. You can crop in on a 4K video without losing quality in the final 1080 pixel version if you didn't frame a certain shot the way you'd want, or if you want to focus on a specific topic in the scene. Digital/electronic image stabilization versus optical image stabilization. Several phones, including the latest iPhones and Samsung's Galaxy phones, now include optical image stabilization. What does this imply? It's when the camera utilizes data from the phone's gyroscope and accelerometer to accurately shift the camera's optics to correct for phone movement. So, if your hand shakes slightly or you walk while shooting, the phone can compute and adjust for that movement. Brace yourself. This is true whether you're recording video with an optical, digital, or no image stabilization smartphone. Finding strategies to brace yourself while filming a video is essential for producing smooth footage. There are, of course, several methods to accomplish this. One simple method is to tuck your elbows into your sides while holding your phone out in front of you. Use both hands. You may also support your phone by placing it against something. A clean window or piece of glass is useful, but keep in mind that the camera on your phone is not always in the center. This means you may rest your phone on a flat surface against a heavy item without blocking up the camera. However, the preferred option would be the use of a tripod or a handheld electronic device, such as a gimbal. These days, a tripod or tabletop tripod are inexpensive enough and can be purchased for around €25. These are invaluable when producing nice, steady, smooth footage. Pace yourself. Shooting a lot of videos, especially 4K video, will use up your phone's storage space quicker than practically anything else. As a result, ensuring you have a solution in place to back up that material is critical. Find a storage solution that works for you, whether it's cloud-based, Google Drive, iCloud, Dropbox, and so on, or local storage, external hard drives, or even just your laptop or desktop, and get into the habit of routinely backing up your film. Break the rules. Don't let anyone tell you that shooting vertical video isn't a good idea. Seriously. Platforms such as Facebook, YouTube, and Vimeo all enable vertical video uploads. So there's no excuse not to try something new. Videographers used to be opposed to vertical video, whatever it is, but that's ridiculous. Video taken in horizontal/landscape orientation is still the most visually appealing, but that doesn't imply it's the only way to shoot. If you are shooting a video that is solely for social media, such as Instagram, then shooting vertically might be a good option. The same is true for all of these other rules. Once you're familiar with all of this, figuring out how to get around it is half the fun. As with photography, cell phones have democratized the ability to produce video in ways we could never have imagined. Take advantage of this chance to try something new. Lesson 2. Audio settings. Audio is paramount. Without decent audio, people will not watch your video. Luckily, today's smartphones are great at capturing good, clean audio, so good that they can sometimes pick up distracting background sounds, such as overhead air condition units or outside traffic. There are several procedures that may be taken prior to a shot to avoid these audio issues from occurring, as well as numerous steps that can be performed in post-production to fix any damage that may have already occurred. Making a bit of extra effort beforehand to examine the location's acoustics and to check for background noise might be the difference between a mediocre output and a more polished and professional one. Having the appropriate microphone in the correct place can make a big difference in the quality of your audio. Microphones used in video production exist in a range of forms and sizes, and each of these pieces of equipment have a distinct advantage that allows it to record better audio in a specific setting. If budget allows, you should purchase an additional microphone for your camera setup. Again, smartphone mics are inexpensive enough and can be pre-purchased online for under €50. Below are the most common types of mics you may need, depending on your production. Shotguns are the most adaptable all-round tool to add to your setup, but they are not suitable for really noisy venues. Wireless microphones are the best option for flexibility and mobility. However, these can be expensive. Wired lavalier. A lavalier is frequently the best option to get the most direct pickup of a person and are used mostly for interviews or piece-to cameras. Handheld. These are the most commonly used for on-the-go interviews. Lesson 3. Understanding the rule of thirds. The rule of thirds is a style of videography composition in which a photo is divided evenly into thirds, both horizontally and vertically. The image's topic is then placed at the intersection of those dividing lines or along with one of the lines itself, using the imaginary 3x3 grid of 9 segments formed by 2 horizontal and vertical lines each. These are 4 locations of interest when employing the rule of thirds, and they are at the crossing points. In a perfect world, your subject would be one of these points of interest. However, filming something like a moving object, this is not always possible. That's absolutely okay. The lines meet at 4 different spots inside the grid. These are the things that interest you. While framing your shot on your smartphone, envision this grid to frame the shot you're about to take. This grid will help you frame the most important aspects of your shot and position the items in it. According to the rule of thirds, if you arrange your main subject in the top, bottom, left, or right blocks of the grid, you'll always get a beautiful shot. All you have to do to get a well-balanced photo is keep the main subject out of the center of the box. When individuals look at photos, their gaze is naturally directed to one of the focal points rather than the image's center. Lesson 4. Shooting the video. Step-by-step procedure. 1. Get a camera. You may want to invest in a high-quality camera to make a professional-looking project, or you may want to use whatever is available, such as your smartphone. 2. Find the best angles. Whether you're filming a one-on-one interview or a piece to camera, Arrive to your location early and explore the area for the best perspectives for your video. Find a few comfy spots and shoot from various perspectives to acquire a variety of shots that you can subsequently edit together into a finished product. If you have a helper, you can shoot from multiple perspectives at the same time to generate cuts in your final output. This is a fantastic effect that gives your finished work a polished and professional appearance. 3. Keep rolling. Keep the camera rolling to be prepared for unexpected moments. Choose an appropriate time to start and allow the camera to warm up so that the video begins before the action you want to capture. It's best to avoid a lot of stops and starts in the movie because you'll have difficulties remembering which shot happened when, which will be much easier to figure out if you have longer shots. You can always cut out the unneeded parts afterwards, but most smartphones have plenty of storage space, so take advantage of it. 4. Stay as steady as possible. If you're using a smartphone or any other camera that isn't mounted on a tripod, try to keep it as steady as possible. Important video footage can become annoying and unwatchable due to shakiness and blurriness caused by an unsteady hand. If required, sit down and settle your arms on your knees while shooting, or invest in a tripod to keep the camera steady on the ground. 4. If you want to record sound, get as close as possible. Unless you're really close to the action, you'll have a hard time hearing it if you're just using the built-in mic on your smartphone. Get in nice and close so that the mic on your device records the audio cleanly. Lesson 5. Sample shooting, interview video. Interview filming styles explained. To camera. The speaker is staring directly at the camera lens. It appears as though the person is speaking directly to the audience. Talking to the camera might be unpleasant for certain speakers. For the content, you may easily use auto cue. Great for testimonial videos. Off camera. Speaker is looking slightly off camera. Even if you don't hear their questions, it feels like they're speaking to someone standing next to the camera. The sensation of eavesdropping on a discussion adds to its authenticity. Documentary style is quite conventional. On Assist with Content, you can still put an auto cue to the side of the camera, commonly used when interviewing person of interest, such as politician. How to successfully shoot a video interview. It can be difficult to shoot an interview. With only one chance to get it right, it's critical to take all necessary precautions and plan ahead. Furthermore, you must ensure that the subject is at ease, as getting genuine reactions is undoubtedly the most crucial aspect of filming a great interview. Equipment needed. 1. 2 smartphones that shoot similar looks. Preferably use the identical smartphones. If not, try use 2 that have a similar video look. During the edit, cutting between interviewer and interviewee will look odd if the video colours are completely different. 2. Sturdy tripods. If possible, use tripods. Handhelds have a more dramatic, gritty vibe to them, which could be perfect for the interview you're conducting. In general, though, utilising a tripod is the best option. As mentioned, tripods nowadays are inexpensive enough and will give your production a more professional feel. 3. Microphones. Not essential, but for interviews. Lavalier microphones are ideal. They produce the clearest sound from a stationary subject and are typically easy to conceal. Even though a lav mic that is noticeable in an interview is usually quickly forgiven by an audience. If you don't have access to lav mics, a shotgun mic pointed at your interviewee will typically be enough. Or, if you only have the inbuilt mic on your smartphone, try get in nice and close, without appearing in the second camera's frame. 5. Lights. You may be able to get away with using available light if your location has a lot of natural light. If not, consider investing in small on-camera or panel light. Placing cameras. Example of a camera setup. The first step is to decide where you want to put your subject. We're going to presume that the interviewer will never appear on camera in this situation. Choose a location in the room where your images will have depth and interesting but not distracting backgrounds. Instead of placing your subject against a wall, situate them near the center of the room, where the background will be somewhat out of focus while you photograph. Choosing a background depends entirely on the style of your interview. Sometimes all white or all black works, and other times we want something different. Regardless, you'll want to create depth by separating your subject from the background. You'll need to set the cameras once you've determined where your subject will be. Make sure you can acquire a close-up and a medium to wide shot in order to offer yourself adequate coverage in editing. Camera A should be set close to the person who is asking the questions, with the subject's sightline falling to the left or right of the camera. Camera B should be on the same side as camera A, but set to a shot that reveals more of the topic. Keep the eyeline straight. It should be adjusted to the same height as camera B. Remember that these are simply guidelines. Feel free to break them. It's only necessary that camera A and camera B be set up such that their shots are obviously distinct. Otherwise, switching between the two shots in editing will be difficult. Shot composition. After you've decided where your cameras will go, you'll need to frame your shots. Giving your subjects some leading room on the side they're talking to is generally a smart idea. Use the rule of thirds to compose your shot. If you're shooting handheld with one or both cameras, don't be afraid to add some movement to your photos by shifting the frame every now and then. It keeps the shot interesting. Again, if you feel confident enough, break these composition principles to create a more fascinating shot. Lesson 6. Shooting extra footage, B-roll. Ways to shoot B-roll. When figuring out what you want to film and preparing your pre-production schedule, make time to record enough of the B-roll. The last thing you want to discover during the editing and post-production process is if your interviewee or talking head is discussing something that should have been presented visibly on screen. 1. Plan ahead. Think of your core footage and build around it. If you're interviewing a person in her house, for example, prepare to record leave and entry video, as well as ambient footage and views in or of the place. Make a list of must-haves and nice-to-haves to ensure you can present the entire tale. 2. Scout locations. You may just have a few minutes to obtain a fantastic B-roll film, so scout the place ahead of time to prepare exactly how you'll get the alternative footage you need. You will also have a better notion of what specific equipment you may require, especially if the site is dark or in a tiny area. Finally, you'll be prepared to capture the most interesting and vivid pictures that day of recording, which will improve the overall quality of your movie. 3. Get different angles. This will cover you if you require cutaways. 4. Shoot more than enough. Plan to accumulate a bank of footage that do not necessarily fall exactly inside your scheduled shot list while you shoot your film. Every film requires breathing room, and in the editing room, you may discover the need to demonstrate the passage of time, conjure a setting, or simply transition between locales. Some filmmakers plan a day or more of pickup shots that may be used in a variety of ways throughout the editing process. If a bird lands on a telephone line, for example, video it and deposit the footage in the bank. You'll never know when you'll need it. Different camera angles to experiment with. When it comes to B-roll, make sure you experiment with a few different perspectives to offer yourself adequate diversity. 1. Wide angle. This is usually an ambient or establishing shot that shows your subject in action. Wide-angle shots serve to immerse the viewer in your setting. 2. Medium. A medium shot, sometimes known as a waist shot, is a portrait of the person taken from a medium distance. When your subject is speaking or performing, for example, choose a medium shot to balance the image. 3. Close-ups. Consider the close-up to be the shot that focuses on the details. Close-ups assist show character by providing closeness and accentuating details that might otherwise go unnoticed. Lesson 7. Top video production tips. Plan ahead for your video. Remember, pre-production is key. Use a decent smartphone. Bring lighting equipment if needed, optional. Upgrade your audio quality using an external smartphone mic, optional. Use a powerful video editing software. Avoid using shaky footage by using a tripod or tabletop tripod. Pay special attention to your video composition. Be comfortable if on camera.